completely lost his cool after Jake Paul boldly declared he'd knock him out in just 3 rounds. That single claim turned an already heated rivalry into a battle of pride and legacy. Insiders say this is no ordinary matchup. It's a test of Davis's image as one of boxing's elite. Because if he falls here, critics will question everything he's built. Yet if he conquers the hype, the weight, and the raw power Jake brings, it could become the kind of victory that lives forever in boxing history, the one that defines how fans remember. Tank for generations.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks...
The answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah. But if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion, multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside as boxers, me and, Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience. So we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you, you're probably going down if you're a small guy, if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public, so there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing. And I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned, mind you?
Jake Paul isn't playing games. He's publicly vowed to deliver the knockout of the year against Gervonta Davis. For him, this isn't just about winning. It's about making a statement that echoes across every boxing headline. His words carry the confidence of a man determined to prove he belongs among real fighters. He's chasing validation, glory, and that one unforgettable highlight that shuts down the doubters. By promising such a dramatic finish, Jake isn't just selling punches. He's selling belief in himself and transforming this fight into a worldwide spectacle.
Fighters, because this thing is going to be watched by hundreds of millions globally. Jay, give the people one thing that you can guarantee that they're going to get on November 14th when they tune in to Netflix.
Yeah, you're going to see the 2 biggest fighters in America go head-to-head with an amazing card. World championship fights back-to-back-to-back. And that's just how the MVP way we do it. And I'm going to come for a knockout of the year again. I've seen it in my visions. I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and going to create the most viral knockout ever.
Romero stepped into the debate, saying that even if Jake Paul somehow pulls off a knockout, it won't damage Gervonta Davis's legacy. He reminds fans that Tank's name already sits among champions. A man who conquered 3 divisions and left his mark in every one. Through his interviews and reels, Romero made it clear, one night can't erase years of dominance, sweat, and world titles. A single defeat doesn't rewrite greatness. It just adds another chapter to a story that's far from over.
Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were to beat him or even knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or all this stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
Romero also offered a balanced take on the Paul versus Davis showdown. He said that no matter how this fight ends, Tank's legacy is untouchable, because he's already achieved what most fighters only dream about. Still, He didn't overlook Jake's physical advantage, admitting that size does play a role. But he emphasized that while Jake's frame gives him strength, it can't measure up to Tank's skill, experience, and the heart of a true champion. Davis, he says, doesn't need this fight to prove anything, but he's taking it to remind everyone why he's built different.
Too big for him, but like Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, like, or as an exhibition, we don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, like, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
When Daniel Cormier found out that Gervonta Davis was actually stepping into the ring with Jake Paul, his jaw dropped. In a viral clip, DC called the matchup wild and questioned why a world-class athlete like Tank would even consider it. He said it feels like a mismatch, not because of skill, but because of how unpredictable this crossover has become. Cormier admitted he never thought someone with Tank's pedigree would entertain a YouTuber turned boxer, and he voiced real concern that the hype and power gap could overshadow Davis's incredible career.
I swear to God, I was on a plane coming home from Las Vegas when Luis told me Gervonta Davis is fighting Jake Paul. I said, get the bleep out of here. I said, you're a bleep liar. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. Gervonta Davis is that much better than Jake Paul at boxing. But Gervonta Davis in his last fight weighed 133.8 pounds. And I'm not over here in the business of just crapping on Jake Paul. I am much more respectful of what he's starting to build as a professional boxer. You're fighting a guy that's better than you. He's just much smaller. But that guy, because he's better than you, what if he wins? Everything Jake Paul has done is wiped completely out. Gervonta Davis loses to Jake Paul. Obviously, it's going to hurt who Gervonta Davis is. But he lost to a guy that's going to be upwards of 70 pounds bigger than him when he steps into the boxing ring. But I will tell you this right now, without a shadow of a doubt. I will watch this. Tank Davis is 30-0-1. You want to talk about Jake Paul fighting the real boxer? That's a real boxer. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's true. They're fighting.
In this case, I didn't hold back either. He blasted how hype and attention often overpower real boxing. In one of his videos, he called Jake Paul out directly, saying these crossover fights blur the true essence of the sport. KSI argued that Jake's methods lean more toward creating viral moments than genuine athletic competition. To him, it's less about the fight itself and more about controlling headlines, a reminder of how boxing's image is shifting from pure sport to full-on entertainment.
AJ and Jake was never gonna happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually gonna happen? Bro, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything.
But that's pretty unbelievable on the other hand.
I feel like I know. Well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White.
Mm.
I had a lot of people bet on White winning.
Mm.
And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, one. Like, I just knew Itoma was going to just destroy him. And I think a good fight for Itoma would be him and Wilder.
Journalist Gareth Davies also voiced his concern, calling the upcoming Paul versus Davis fight another example of boxing turning into a show rather than a sport. He said the obvious size difference and exhibition-style rules make it hard to take seriously as a true contest. According to Davies, yes, it'll bring massive attention and money, but at what cost? In chasing spectacle, the sport risks losing its soul, its fairness, and the respect that boxing once stood for.
Signed. I think we've gone out of the frying pan and into the fire because we thought we were going to get Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua very soon. We'll speak to Frank Smith about that in the next section, obviously. Eddie Hearn was teasing it to me personally last week, £80 million on the table for Anthony Joshua to fight Jake Paul, but 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this, you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound-for-pound, brilliant, unbeaten little un. And the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that, do I mean Charlie Brooker? No,
Baker.
Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook. It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout. But everybody in boxing who is a name doesn't mind going in with Jake Paul because they know they're making millions of dollars. And that's the only reason that Gervonta Davis, who's being called the poison little elf by Jake Paul, and it'll be fun in the build-up. Everybody in boxing knows they're guaranteed to make millions of those silverbacks, those greenback notes that they give out in America, and they give them out for fun when Jake Paul fights. So he's not going to say no to it. But can you pick a winner in that fight?
Even Gervonta Tank. Davis himself has opened up about what really worries him before fight night. He's openly admitted Jake's power and size are things he can't ignore. Tank knows Paul's reach and physical style are unlike anything he's faced before. He's preparing mentally and physically for every possible scenario because Jake isn't just powerful, he's also mentally tough. Still, Tank vows that on November 14th, he'll rise to the challenge and show the world why real fighters adapt, evolve, and conquer. Supporters, however, say this fight is exactly what the new era of boxing needs, a bridge between tradition and a digital generation. Jake Paul brings young fans who crave energy and charisma, while Gervonta represents grit, heart, and authenticity. Two worlds colliding, and the result could redefine the future of boxing itself.
Has been 4 years in the making, when a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix.
Does Jake Paul have that concerns you?
What concern me, his power. Gotta test his power. Gotta test his just everything, to be honest. I never been in the ring with Jake, so I could say a lot, but when it comes down to November 14th, I gotta be in there with him. I gotta be able to, his arm reach, his size, his power, you know, um, the way he moving and things like that. I just gotta adapt, as I fight him come